Hello, everybody. This is Emmanuel Lyson coming to you again today with another edition of Financial Breakthrough Academy. It's my belief and trust that you are enjoying an awesome week, even as we navigate very treacherous times in the world. In fact, the books of history are being rewritten as we speak because of all that is going on in the world right now. And we want to take a look at some of these things based off on our focus in the financial education area to educate ourselves and see how these events, world events, what they imply so far as we are concerned, and how best we can take the necessary steps for ourselves, our families, our communities, and ultimately our nation. So we'll be addressing that topic today. And wherever you're watching, we encourage you to like our channel and share the content so we can be able to be notified and share with other people who may need that information that we are about to provide here today. Now, I know that many of us have a lot of things on our minds, and one of them being what is happening in Europe, specifically in Ukraine, with Russia attacking Ukraine, and what it might mean for you, what the implication of that could be for you, for your family, for your finances. And we want to kind of take a little bit look at those things and what you could be doing, even at this very serious moment in history as we deal with that. So before we go into the information, again, the disclosures on the screen, but basically, information we present here, does not constitute the rendering of personalized investment advice, but just limited to dissemination of general information and education on various financial topics. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the idea discussed. So, with that, we want to get into a few things. Our topic is calming yourself in a chaotic world. Calming yourself in a chaotic world. How do you deal with what is going on around us today? How do you literally navigate your financial life, your family life, your business life, and how do you contain all the volatility that is going on, the uncertainty around us because of Russia invading Ukraine? And you may or may not know, but it does have an impact on us no matter how you are positioned in the globe. So we'll be talking through that topic today. Hopefully get a few ideas to go back and make it work for you. Now, here is a scripture for us. We'd like to share some principles from scripture as we go through these teachings. Jeremiah 32:27 says, I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me? Yes, that is very true. It may be so difficult, wondering how can this be? How can we navigate this situation? What is going to happen in my life? But no matter what it is, there is God out there that cares for all of us, and people who are suffering right now in Ukraine, little kids, families, children, men and women. I mean, just very devastating as you see them on the TV screens and online. So hopefully this should be an encouraging statement for all of us that nothing is too hard for God as we lift prayers for them. Here is a statement that is pretty much, I think, said to have made by Havelock Ellis, saying that there is nothing that war has ever achieved that we could not better achieve without it. Okay? So, again, people in power, people who are ruling the world from the seat of power, make decisions about what these things we are all experiencing or witnessing mean and how they occur. However, from this statement by this person, that there's nothing that war has ever achieved, trying to achieve territorial expansion, or whatever you may describe it, that cannot be done without it. But this is how human beings are, and sometimes we resort to this action to try to bring home a specific point for either ourselves or whatever we want. But anyway, the point is, what is next? For this Ukraine thing, what exactly will be the next phase? How do we respond? People there affected. In fact, people who are from other nations are there. I've seen a lot of Africans there, people who are in school, and just very, very heartbreaking. Little kids suffering. I saw a video that a little 6 or 9 year old girl literally confronting a soldier, a Russian soldier, and she was speaking Ukrainian or Russian, but you could see her passion of really feeling, I'll say, violated, her territory, her independence, her privacy, her safety has been violated, and she was really expressing very, very in a physical way how she felt about the armed soldiers that she was talking and confronting. With that, let's get into our subject. Before then, again, as we discuss these things, if you want to perhaps have an opportunity to discuss some topics offline, just text your name to the number on the screen, 720-575-1505, and someone will reach out to you, and they'll be able to schedule time to discuss. Just go through anything that you may be interested in. So the question we have here is that Russia invasion of Ukraine. How do you stay calm about your finances during war crisis? You see, how do you navigate such a situation? How do you deal with the complexity of knowing that a lot of the things that we cherish and things that are important for our daily living is going to be affected in one way or the other? Is that right? So as a matter of fact, we have to take a look at the impact of these world event and world crisis on us in one way or the other, and they do impact us, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. So the question becomes, even as there is so much uncertainty and chaos and really physical pain for some, who are very close to this, being even far away, your finances may be impacted. And how do you respond? How do you stay calm? How do you navigate this specific period of time? That's a question that may be worth looking at, worth evaluating. Now, at other points, maybe the fact that you may ask yourself, is a stress or worry about the future something that is really on your mind? Being stressed, being worried about the future, what's going to happen? How will this play out? Are we looking at potential third world war? Some people have speculated. How do you feel about it? How does it make you feel in terms of this situation? Are there concerns about impact on your finances? Do you feel that you don't have control of what will happen to your own pocket because of the war that is currently underway in Ukraine? Russia's attack on Ukraine. Okay, now we may also be asking, truly, what is next after all of this? What next? What kind of step do I need to take? How do I mitigate the potential impact of all of that on my personal finance, my family, my sanity, my peace of mind? So these are all important questions that you may have, or perhaps others may have, that we want to look at very briefly. Now, we all know that even if we are not physically there in Ukraine, what is happening half, a world away from us, is still impacting us in one way or the other. Okay, the impact of conflict, affect people. The impact of conflict on people, literally, people being impacted in a real sense, just real physical sense of bleeding and hurt and death and all of that. Okay, there's impact on global markets, in global financial markets, addressing the impact of the conflict on your personal finances. Okay, and how do you stay calm in the chaos? Is that right? And some perhaps next steps that we can discuss going forward. So if we look at impact of conflict, that people may deal with, frankly, the other people around the world are impacted one way or the other. Is that right? And locally in Ukraine, as you look at the screens on television or online, you can see, people's houses and businesses and livelihood being literally obliterated overnight. And, the impact of that is very, 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 sad to see. So in local Ukraine and surrounding places, who are now, people fleeing, literally just their homes, refugee crisis currently going on, and it's very, very sad. Now, many people in Ukraine may have their families in the States or other places, and that has a global impact on them, because now they're thinking about it, they're, worried about it. There is just a whole lot of anxiety that is happening, so there is a huge impact of the conflict on people. All the people of the world have been impacted one way or the other. Like I said earlier on in the opening statement, that the history books are being rewritten as we speak. Is that right? There is a new chapter that has to be written, in retrospect of what's going on. So it's a very, very sad situation and sad event that we are witnessing, but it is a truth, and we have to address that and be able to do what we have to do. Now, with that said, there is also the impact of conflict on global financial markets. Now, if you watch the financial markets a bit, for example, oil prices have hit probably in the north of $110 per barrel, right? And that has really hit home, and for most of us. So, not too long ago, a barrel of oil was about 50 something dollars. Now it's more than double. Okay, now that is really a clear indication of the impact on the global financial market of what's going on now. Now there's also just the uncertainty in the global financial market because of what the war in Ukraine is doing. Now, who knows? How long is it gonna take? Is it a 1 month thing, a 2 weeks thing? Is it 6 months? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Is that right? Of course, there are reports of talks going on now on some way of negotiation and trying to come to some reasonable, amicable, peaceful resolution of the battlefield in the ballrooms and meeting rooms. But we are not certain of how this will turn out. We don't know. And the impact of the financial markets is really uncertain. There's that uncertainty that is currently happening throughout the global financial markets. Now, there's the geopolitical power play that is going on. Russia now. We have the Chinese looking at how they're going to play their hand in this. India, the United States, of course, has its own position. The European nations, most of them really supportive of the Ukrainian government and the people. So you have now a world where the financial markets have been so impacted by these events that there is literally remapping, and countries are reevaluating their financial commitment to defense and security. I understand, Germany of all countries that apparently had really been very hesitant in pumping so much resources and positioning themselves in terms of war because of what they've been through in the past, has suddenly changed its stance and its long-standing policy on some things when it comes to defense. That now they are really taking a different look at how they do things. So the fact is, there is that uncertainty going on, geopolitical powers being reshifted and reorganized, and the United States also in the middle of this, trying to bring about the necessary calm that we can, staying calm. We are talking about calming yourself during the crisis of this nature. When there's chaos in the world, how do you calm yourself? How do you let your finances and your life be in a place that it still makes sense? You can go about your life in a very reasonable way. So that point on the global impact of the conflict in global financial markets is very real. Now, the segue to the fact that there's impact of the conflict is also on your personal finances. You like it or not, like I was saying earlier on, this tends to be reflected in our own personal finance. Probably the easiest way to look at it or see this is at a gas pump. Maybe if you check your purchases over the last 2 or 3 weeks or a month versus now, you probably see there's been a rapid increase in the price of gas at the pump, because Russia is really a huge supplier of crude oil and gas and all that for the world. So all of this conflict is tending to reduce supply, and with high demand, or demand still being what it is, guess what? The law of demand and supply, the prices will go up. So you may be also facing the same thing at the gas pump. Your budget is being hit because of what is going on all the way in Ukraine and in the European side of the world. Food and essential commodities, prices have also probably changed. You may have seen a few things, because guess what? When these things change, travel and shipment, they all kind of factor into how prices are determined by companies. And in the meantime, your income hasn't changed. Is that right? You're still working the same hours. Maybe your salary is still the same, but prices of goods and services and gas and transportation and essential things have been suddenly impacted, and there's been an increase in those prices, and therefore it tends to shrink your disposable income, or money that is available for you to save and invest and do some things. Is that right? So that is why we are trying to look at, hey, how does this impact our personal finances, even though it may seem to be so far-fetched or far away from us. Okay. Another thing is the U.S. federal government interest rate moves that they have been talking about for some time. I was listening to the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell talking about it earlier today, answer some questions and stuff like that. But the idea is that the Fed is trying to raise the interest rate to match and kind of reduce its support from the stimulus and all that over the couple of years that we'll be dealing with. But what's going on now is suddenly trying to impact those specific moves. It doesn't seem like they will retract on their initial goal of adjusting the interest rate, but as Mr. Powell put it, that they may do it with a little bit more caution. They will go about it cautiously, but Nevertheless, I believe in the next couple of weeks, in the middle of March, that potential adjustment in interest rate will happen. Now, if you are about to do a big purchase like a home or a vehicle or some other things, likely, there might be some changes coming your way in that direction. So, but all of this is now, in the new environment we are in with the crisis in Ukraine, uh, may affect it one way or the other. So just to keep that in mind. Now, another way that we can talk about the impact of the conflict on your personal finances is on your investment portfolio exposure. You see, so depending on what kind of or how your investment is made up of, you may be potentially exposed to some of the impact of what's going on in Ukraine, though, right? So if, let's say, your 401k or some other brokerage account, you have some stocks and things like that that has some exposure internationally, and some specific sectors. Okay, maybe you have some positions in who knows, industries in terms of oil and gas and things like that. That could impact your portfolio. Is that right? It could impact what you may be experiencing now, especially if you are within that range, 5 7 years before retirement, or you just started your retirement. Guess what? Now suddenly your portfolio has had taken a hit. Now, hopefully, there's been some planning that has been taking place over the months or years to reallocate or redesign or diversify your portfolio to suit your current situation, so that this global factors will not impact you to the extent that it would if you had not planned at all. So the whole idea is that, yeah, there's some direct impact on us when it comes to our finances, how much we're going to pay for gas and food, and the interest rate on things that we may be buying, like homes and things like that, including just our direct exposure of our portfolio because of all that is happening, is something that we cannot ignore. Is that right? We cannot ignore it. Okay. Now, let's look at how to stay calm in the chaos that's out there. Is that right? Now, to stay in the calm here, there's just a few things potentially. This is just some resources that we have internally here, put together, that allows us to be able to share some thoughts and ideas. So with this, we are talking now about the fact that, if possible, just a few ideas, possible, donating time and money to organizations helping Ukrainians on the ground. Anything small is will help. Now, you may feel like that seems to be counterintuitive. Your portfolio is maybe declined. You're worried about what's going on at the gas pump and all that. How do you donate? Well, it may be just simple thing as, who knows, praying for people. If you're a prayer person or religious person, in your church or something, or just gathering something small to support in terms of donation, or giving away some extra clothing you don't need in the house or something to a charity for them to dispose of, and perhaps generate some revenue for that cause. Whatever you can do, there is that potential human, when you do something like that, even when you are facing a chaotic circumstance, and you take an act or gesture of service and act of kindness, you're going to generate that calm attitude and environment and atmosphere for yourself. So consider that, if they have opportunity to do that, if you are in a position to do it, donating some time and money to organizations helping Ukrainians on the ground. Another thing is, just review your portfolio. If you have some investment portfolio or retirement portfolio, it might be a good time to just take a look at it and see what everything is at. Not to panic over it, but just to take a look at it to see how everything is playing out, even as you navigate the stage. You may also, another thing is watch out for other financial deadlines, like simple things like even preparing your taxes. You may have perhaps forgotten about it, but it's around the corner soon. Is that right? And beware of some personal burnouts, that as all of these are going on, you may be scrambling to get yourself in the right place and right frame of mind and everything, and you may end up just burning out yourself. So just beware of that. Now, what are some next steps that you could be taking to secure a financial future in the midst of this chaos, to helping you calming yourself in a chaotic world? What could be done? I think the first is to understand that just you have to be willing to just control the controllable. Not everything we have the ability to control. Look, whatever decision that politicians are making, the interest rate issues, these are things that may be just out of our control. Okay, so you want to focus on what you can control. You can control your budget. You can readjust some things in your own income stream. You can retweak or review your priorities for your goals and all that. These are things that are within your purview to change, adjust, to meet your personal financial goal. So I think if you take a look at the things that are controllable for you and you work on them and try to control them, it can go a long way to help you calm yourself, take some steps to secure your financial future. I also say, look, take a breath and have a long-term view. All these things, yeah, they are very, very sad situation, not easily comprehensible, but in the long run, you have to look at a long view of things. This is an event. We don't know how long it will last, but in the grand scheme of things, if you have a much more comprehensive plan with all the pieces laid out nicely, I think you find that ultimately you will have, done what is necessary to position yourself for events like that. So take a long-term view of what is going on, rather than just a short-term reactive way of responding to your financial situation in view of that. I would also say, look, it might be important to schedule time with a financial professional, financial advisor, to kind of go over what some of the things we are discussing, because at the end of the day, sometimes you need help to understand, to just bounce off ideas. So just get some professional input on what could be done even in that situation. So I think that sets the stage for what we wanted to talk about and share, and bring out that information to you. Now again, if you like to discuss a little bit more or have some specific things you want to talk about, just go ahead and text your name to our number on the screen there, 720-575-1505, and we'll make some time to talk with you and see how best we can help you navigate this very treacherous moment that we are all living today. Again, our topic today was just on calming yourself in a chaotic world. How do you position yourself in the midst of very, very uncertain time, with Russia invading Ukraine, displacing millions? It's said, projected perhaps about 4 million people might end up in a refugee status somewhere in the world because of what's going on. But again, we don't know. We have no idea how long it will take, what is going to happen. But I think one thing is sure, that if you take a long view of things and try to calm yourself on the outcome of all of these with the necessary steps of planning, financial planning. Again, there are so many pieces to this puzzle, but we're just focusing on some of the financial aspect of it. If you take some necessary steps in financial planning and all that, ultimately, I believe everything will work out well, and you should be able to, experience the peace of mind you need for yourself and your family and your business and whatever you may be working with. So with that, we want to sign off here. This has been Emmanuel Einstein, your host for Financial Breakthrough Academy, hoping to help you understand some concepts and implement them as appropriate with appropriate guidance. With that, we'll let go and we'll be back very soon. Have a blessed rest of your day.